Mr. Speaker, official figures show that since 2010, child poverty has increased by 500,000, working age poverty by 200,000 and pensioner poverty by 400,000. And while she's right to mention the national minimum wage, something her party strongly opposed the introduction of, I think we should just be aware of what the national minimum wage actually means. It's £8.21. For over 25s, 21 to 24-year-olds, it's only £7.70. And for apprentices, it's just £3.90 an hour. These are poverty wages.
Alright, so on my way to Aldi to spend me £5. There's a co-op about 15 minutes from my house, but I need to save all the money I can get. £5 for a week might be a bit difficult, and to put that in perspective, I had a £3 meal deal from Tesco for lunch today. So we'll see what we can do. How much fucking money am I on? Jesus Christ. Checkout time. Let's go.
So this is one of the biggest food banks in the Midlands area. We provide emergency food parcels for about 10,000 people a year.
All clients who come here are referred to us by professionals, be they doctors, job centres, schools. So everybody who comes through the door has got a voucher of some kind.
So if, for example, they were short of money, they might see their social worker, they might see somebody at their church, they might see somebody, if it's a health problem because they can't work because of health, they might go to their doctor.
They are then paired up with a volunteer. The volunteer has a one-to-one conversation with the clients. Mainly, it's a kind of prompt conversation about the kind of food they like, but the kind of food that they can eat, the kind of accommodation they have.
The people at the front with the clients will then be talking about the problems that the clients are experiencing. Can we help them further in any way? We have our own benefits advisor, which is one of the main causes that people come to the food bank.
They'd be given 3 days food, so that's 3 meals a day, breakfast, dinner and tea, for every person that's on the voucher.
One person through the doors might represent 2 parents and 3 kids. So we're actually 1 through the door, but we're feeding 5.
An average food parcel for one person, I'll go down the shelf, is cereal, milk, fruit juice, tea, coffee or hot chocolate, baked beans, tinned spaghetti, tinned meat, tinned fish, tinned vegetables, tinned potatoes, pasta, rice, jam, biscuits, fruit in tins, rice pudding in tins, soup in tins, and a cooking sauce that you pour on top of your pasta. And then if you're lucky, you might get a few bars of chocolate and a packet of crisps.
We feed up to 200 people a week, and we're only open 2 afternoons a week. That's a lot of people we're feeding.
It's a really big operation, and it all depends upon the generosity of all the volunteers that run the food bank and the generosity of all the people in Birmingham who donate. Last year, 90 tonnes of food worth about £150,000.
That's incredible.
It is incredible.
What?
Lunchtime. Bon appetit.
Something occurred to me that I hadn't really thought about before. I don't have the freedom to sort of play around with my day as much. My schedule is rigidly attached to the 3 square meals that we're having. I've got to be stuck on the same meal pattern every day. I can't take beans into uni though I've eaten coal out the fucking can. Yeah, interesting, food for thought.
Bastard. Fuck. Pasta, some frozen veg, and a little bit of sauce because I'm trying to ration it. Bon appetit.
It's a little bland, but it's alright.
The fundamental purpose of a food bank is to provide food for people who are in genuine need and cannot afford to feed themselves or their families.
It used to be, when we first started, the most frequent users of the food bank were people who were on benefits. What has exceeded this is people who tick the box, low income.
A lot of people that come have sort of, I don't want to ask mum, I've had enough of my mum, I've had enough of my sisters, and they've got nowhere else to turn to.
Or it's incredibly low paid and they just cannot make ends meet by the time they've paid their rent and their energy bills.
We are here as an emergency. It's to deal with a crisis, really. That is our purpose. We are an emergency food bank, and that's why we say that visits are limited to 3 times in a 6 months, because if people need to come more than 3 times, then there's obviously something that's going wrong somewhere along the line that needs fixing.
There is a myth that people believe that clients come to a food bank and then become dependent upon them.
So let's suppose you go to the local job centre. You have got to queue to get to see somebody, and they will give you, if you're lucky, a voucher. Then you've got to come and see us, and you may have to queue to see us. And then you've got to talk to a volunteer. And at the end of what may be quite a lengthy process, you get 3 days' worth of tinned and dried food.
So we're not replacing your Aldi or your Lidl or your Waitrose or whatever. People can't possibly become dependent upon that.
I think a lot of people think you can just wander in off the street and you'll be given something. 99.9% of the people that come desperately need help.
So once every 2 months, you have the privilege of queuing up for 3 days' worth of tinned and dried food. Would that make you dependent on a food bank?
The vast majority of people that come to a food bank really don't want to be here. They're ashamed. They don't want to be relying on handouts.
We are a safety net, really.
This is not your Friday afternoon shop. It is crisis food for people in crisis.
Alright, so we just got up. And usually I'd have a shower before having breakfast. But this morning I'm just so fucking starving. I'm gonna have to eat first.
Back at it again with the beans.
First run out of 3 in these next couple of days. Let's see how we get on. Right, so run's done. I would absolutely kill for a Lucozade and a protein shake right now. But I don't think I can afford that for the 5p I've got left over.
Don't mind me, just creating another culinary masterpiece. Step aside Gordon Ramsay, there's a new culinary genius in town.
It's day 2 and I've already snapped.
I'm sorry, Prime Minister, but we have nurses going to food banks at the moment. That must be wrong.
We have, and there are many complex reasons why people go to food banks.
I'm not sure that Theresa May has ever been to a food bank. There are certainly a variety of reasons that people end up at a food bank. The one combining issue that they all face is that they simply don't have enough money to feed themselves. And And largely that is because the benefit system and the welfare state has let them down.
There are people whose relationship has broken up and for whatever reason they find themselves without any income.
And we get a lot of people who've sort of fallen out of work and then they become depressed because they're not in work. And then it gets to the point where they haven't got the confidence to go back. And it's just like a spiral that pulls them down, and it's so hard to pull back out.
There are people who cannot feed themselves, and they are people through mental illness, cannot cope with the world as it is.
People come in with all sorts of issues, sometimes mental health issues, a variety of circumstances that you would hope the state would support them through, and you know that that isn't the case.
There are people who are on benefits, and if they are moved from what we call legacy benefits to universal credit, there is a 5-week gap. That is painful.
I just think that there should be a society that doesn't let people be hungry. I think there should be more structures in place that stop people falling through the cracks.
75% of people who come to a food bank have had problems with their benefits in some shape or form. Either they're delayed, they're being changed, or they're simply not enough.
There are a whole variety of reasons why people find themselves here, and none of them want to be here.
Alright, so I woke up hungry once again, but I thought ahead last night and brought these upstairs, so I didn't have to get out of bed. Breakfast in bed. Crumbs could be an issue though. Oh, beans. If you didn't already know. Alright, so I'm heading into uni for the first time this week. I've packed a load of bananas in my bag. That's the only thing I can eat on the go, other than bourbon biscuits, but I snaffled too many of them last night. Alright, I'm on my way back from uni. Can't say I got too much work done, to be honest. I was a bit distracted. Kept thinking about food, and then someone came in with a foot-long Subway and I wanted to die. Bit of a waste of a day. I really want to make me food now, but I'll be starving by the end of the day if I eat at 5 o'clock. I wonder what's on the menu for tonight.
Pasta and veg. What a surprise.
And whoever said that students couldn't cook?
I was a teacher and I worked for 16 years in a school on Poole Farm where the families were not generally wealthy, and we had children coming to school hungry, and I always said when I retired that I would do something with my time that would benefit people.
I think I couldn't live with a society in which people in need were suffering to that extent in a country which is the 7th wealthiest in the world, that there was something wrong with what we were doing.
The result of the 2015 election was something which made me feel sick to my stomach. I realised that poor people in this country weren't going to get the left-wing government that I felt they needed, and it was as a direct result of the fact that we had a right-wing government that I knew would continue to have austerity policies and make life difficult for the poor. That was the reason that I started at a food bank.
At the root of it all, I think austerity has a big part to play. You know, money just isn't there, jobs just aren't there.
And the reason that we have so many people coming to food banks at the moment is they have endured 10 years of austerity, during which time the welfare state has been, in my opinion, cut to the bone.
We need them because the welfare state is not providing the safety net that we all thought it had.
The welfare state that used to be there to catch people who fell on hard times is just full of holes, and the majority of people aren't being supported by the benefit system. I think, in my personal opinion, they're being punished by the benefit system.
The reason why people are coming is because the safety net that we used to think was there for all of us is no longer there.
That was the reason that I started at a food bank, and I just felt that I had to try and do something to address the balance, albeit entirely futile in a large extent.
Well, there's nothing like a breakfast biscuit to really dry your mouth out in the morning. You know the drill. Alright, day 4 off my second run. I really don't have the energy to go today, but gotta do what you gotta do. Wish me fucking luck. I'm about to have a fucking sit down. I'm only 15 fucking minutes in. I'm fucking exhausted, my legs are fucking killing. Usually I can get 5k done in about 30 minutes without much problem, but fucking hell, I'm fucked. My legs are gonna kill later, I fucking know it. Jesus fuck, I'm feeling this fucking diet, man. I've just had a shower and changed my top, got ready, and my knees are quaking. Oh, I'm gonna feel this tomorrow, fucking hell. Jesus Christ, look at my face. I'm still so red. Ugh.
Just like a mama used to make. Mwah.
I literally ate about an hour ago and I'm already thinking about food. That's not a good sign. Today's been a killer. Thank God. It's day 5 tomorrow.
For me, the most difficult thing about volunteering at a food bank is not being able to help clients to the extent that you would like to.
The most difficult thing is not being able to help people permanently. 3 days worth of food is 3 days worth of food. It's going to be gone.
One of the most heartbreaking things is giving people food and sending them out the door, knowing that they could be helped to a much greater extent, but that you're not able to do that.
You can give them food that sort of gets them out of the immediate situation, but you know that that situation's going to drag on and on and on, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
People that come to food banks aren't so different from you and me. There are lots of us that are living almost on a month-to-month basis, and suddenly you take away a month's salary and then you're struggling.
There are a lot of us who, if we were suddenly told that the salary at the end of the month, sorry about that, it's not going to happen. There are a lot of us who are only one pay packet away from a food bank.
Sometimes you go home and you worry about people, you know, when you've spoken to them and you hear that they've got horrible stories to tell.
And for so much of it, it appears to me to be the luck of the draw. I was born in the right place. I was educated in the right place. It's just unfairness that gets to me.
These are human beings. The people that come to the food bank are human beings. They're not the scum of the earth lounging around on benefits. The idea that benefits, living on benefits, is great fun and a life of luxury is completely and utterly wrong.
To give people in that situation just 3 days worth of food, that's what's disappointing. It's, you know, I wish there were more we could do.
The 5 days are up. You won't have seen any of the food I've eaten today because I'm sure you're sick of seeing it. I'm sick of eating it. But mostly I just feel sick because I've spent a lot of time complaining and wanting to have something else, not wanting to do it, when there are thousands of people, thousands of families all over the country who do that every day without a choice. And here's me moaning about having to do it for 5 days with a nice watch on one wrist and festival wristbands on the other. While I'm talking to my iPhone, which is propped up against my TV, which is connected to my Xbox and is also in front of my MacBook. I haven't shown you a lot of what I did today, but do you want to know what I did do? I planned what meal I'm going to have tomorrow. So if you're interested, I'm going to have a fat meal deal, which is a £3 waste of money for lunch. And then for dinner, I'm going to have a chippy. Fish and chips, it's going to be greasy. I'm going to love it. And I'm going to forget all about this, most likely. Because that's what you do. You move on, you forget, and nothing changes. People are still living in poverty regardless. People still go into food banks, and they're so fucking grateful to be handed fuselli and beans and coffee. I think as a society we are ungrateful for the things that we have. We don't take stock a lot, and that is what I've got most out of this. I waste a lot of money on crap. You probably would have seen over my shoulder while filming in here that I've got loads of books, loads of Xbox games, most of them I don't even play, and loads of shitty little knickknacks that cost a tenner a pop. A tenner could pay for food for 2 people for 5 days. 2 people. From now on, every time I do a shop, I'm going to spend an extra £5 on stuff that I don't need. Stuff that I'll give to the food bank. Give it to the people who will be grateful for that. Someone who doesn't have the luxury of saying, well, this is the last day I'm doing that now. Those people deserve that money. I don't.
I don't want anyone to have to rely on a food bank in our country. It's important that they're there, but I don't want anyone to have to rely on them.
No one in government wants to see poverty rising, and we take this very seriously indeed.
I reject the idea that there are vast numbers of people facing dire poverty. Look around you, that is not what we see in this country.
The most rewarding thing for me working at a food bank is to be able to put a smile on the faces of people who probably haven't smiled for quite a while. And when you bring out bags of food for families with lots of kids, and the kids see the packets of crisps and a chocolate bar, and you see the beaming smile on their faces, that's another thing that makes it all worthwhile.
The number of people who may come through the doors almost in tears and leave with a certain weight taken off their shoulders, apparently able to face the world a little bit better.
Just feeling that you are doing something useful that helps people. And I feel a bit guilty sometimes because the clients, when they get their food, they're so grateful, and it's, oh, thank you. And it's almost as if you've personally donated the food. So I thought, well, it would be nice if the donors got a thank you, because we hear it, but they don't. So I think it's important to let people know how grateful people are.
To know that I have over 100 volunteers on the books. All these people are giving their time and energy free. And that is a stunning thing, to know that there are people who are going to do that